Hey there guys, Joshua here from Gander Flight. Today we're going in the truck and I've got GPS, cell phone holder, tire pressure monitoring system for our camper. Lots of things that need to have places to go. I don't necessarily want them up on the windshield, one because it blocks view, and two because they often fall off. So we're going to come up with a DIY solution. Join me, and it's going to be a pretty inexpensive solution. It's going to give tons of room to mount tons of accessories, phones, GPSs, you name it, you can put it on there. And make sure you stick around to the end because there's something I would change about how I did it to improve it. So if you do one, you should do it that way too. Stick around to the end to find out what that is. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to do is remove the rubber padding on that sunglasses tray at the top. You just pull it up and it gives you access to those two screws that are at the top. Go ahead and remove those and take those with you to the hardware store to match up the threads and make sure you're getting the right thing. So for my truck, I was able to go to the specialty drawers in the hardware store and get number 8 by 2-inch automotive trim screws. Then I headed over to the hardware section and went to the ties, the metal ties, and got a Simpson Strong tie that was 3¼ inches wide by 16 inches long. And for my truck, that fit perfectly. 16 inches was just the right length to cover the entire section of that trim, and it looks awesome. Then that's all you're going to need as far as supplies. Grab a can of spray paint in your color of choice, and then you're going to go back and start measuring. So to get the holes in the strong tie, mine was 5 inches in from each of the long ends and 1 inch in from the shallow end, and that would match up and center that strong tie right over the dash piece. So I marked that and drilled some holes that were just larger than the trim screws that I got, and then mocked it up and made sure that it fit. Once it fit, now you got to make sure that you drill a hole if you're going to run power cables up through the back of your dash. So that looks good. Now we just need to drill a hole for the power cords and then run the power cords up behind the radio, sand it, paint it, reinstall it, add these little sticky pads so the suction cups suction well. Hey, if you're into DIY projects like this one, make sure you check out our free group, DIYers, Tinkers, Fixers, and Makers. Check out the link in the description box. Now let's go finish that build. Alright, so to run the power cables up through here, I'm going to drill a 3/4 of an inch hole as close to the edge as I can. The hole that actually goes through that sunglasses holder, that little dish at the top, is actually going to be closer to in between the holes, but I don't want that to encroach in the space that I can put a suction cup. So I'm going to put the hole as far back as I can here, and then the cord will just come up through the middle, and then within that dish come back and then out. Alright, so to get the trim off, you're going to have the 2 torque screws up here. There's going to be a torque screw back in this cubby. And then there's going to be 2 Phillips screws here. And then in the center console, there's a bolt that you have to take out. You take the center console out first, and then you'll be able to pull this out. And it's connected to all the climate stuff in here, so don't want to pull it too far, but you'll be able to get it so that you can drill the hole through these to pass through the power cables. So now we got to run power to the top here. A couple of ways we could do it. You could come up from the side. I just don't want any cords out. So what I'm going to do is drill straight through the dash underneath that plastic tray. So they've got the piece of rubber that comes off, and then that's where you access the 2 torque screws. I'm going to go right through the center. And you can take the whole dash off if you want. I have to get all those screws out. It just pops off. You got to go through this piece and then again through this piece. Just make sure you don't go so far that you drill into your radio. Key thing here, because that would be a bad day. Let's see how far. Yeah, we're going to do something else. That's going to go down into the radiator. So I'm going to use a wood spade bit. Step bit would have been nice, except it's going to go too far. A Forstner bit would be awesome, but I don't have any. So we're just going to do that, and we're going to be very careful. Let's hope there's enough room in here. There's not. Looks like I gotta go get my impact driver. Here we go. Alright, so I got the hole drilled and most of it cleaned up. Pulled it back off just to double check everything down there was good. Went through both. So now I just need to feed my power cords up through the hole after I put that back on. So now we got our power cable out. We've got our piece all painted up. I'm just going to run that power cable through, screw it back down in, and move on. So then I've got these little sticky suction pads. They are for using on your dash. You know, when we got a really bumpy dash, a lot of the cell phone holders come with these, and that's where I got mine. So that it can make a flat surface so the suction can work on the dash. You can also get these from the companies. I'll put a link in the description below. You can get like a 3-pack, and it's under $10. So that is really what's going to make this work well, is that stick these to it, and then you can stick all of your different accoutrements up there on the dash. Perfect. Guys, that is awesome. We're really liking that. Alright guys, so I've been using the mount for a little over a month now, and we just went on a cross-country road trip, and it performed awesome. Let's go ahead and jump inside, and I'll show you exactly how it's holding up, and give you that little tip about what I'd do differently if I were to do it again. Alright, so this is pretty much how I ran the setup for our big cross-country road trip. I've been using it for over a month, and we put several thousand miles on that road trip, and it held up awesome. The sticky pads were great, and the whole thing didn't move at all. I'm super happy with it, and I think it's going to stay there definitely for the life of the truck. Probably going to put the tire pressure monitoring system for the RV there, and or a cell phone holder for the passenger. We'll have to see. But I'm super happy with how it worked out, and couldn't be more pleased. Alright, so what I would do differently the next time is, as you saw, I put the hole for the power cords right in the middle. And that was not necessarily a mistake, but I'd do it differently. I would offset it, and I would put it closer to this screw, only because if you're just using it for 3 spots, the suction pad is going to go right in the middle. And so if you put that hole, that cutout there, it's just one more thing to interfere with the power cords that you bring up here. So I actually would offset that hole for the power cord closer to the passenger side screw. And then whatever power cords you need to run up there will be able to come through freely without interfering with the suction pad for the middle spot. And just to clarify, I would leave the holes that I drilled through the actual plastic of the dash in the center. I would just move the hole for the bracket over. So it would come up through the center, the power cord would move over, and then come up on the offset. So that way, if you take this bracket off and you put that rubber piece back over here, that the rubber piece is covering the hole that's still centered between the entire tray. Because if you try and move that hole over, you're going to start getting into the plastic around where these mounting screws are, and you don't want to do that. You want to get it right in the center, away from any of the other pieces that are holding the dash piece on. I ended up running these power cords just down through the power port that's down here. I pulled it out of this mount and just put a USB adapter, and it's just back behind the dash. I ran a USB cord for the phone here, because sometimes we take the phone off to use it. So that's just coming out. There's a natural hole down here underneath the dash. I didn't have to do anything there. And then the power cord for the GPS, I ran up through those holes we drilled and then out through this bracket. But again, I would just move that over so it doesn't interfere at all with the suction cup pad. And I would absolutely do this again. And I think if you're looking for more mounts for your truck, this is definitely a way to go. Even if it's not a ram, think about different ways that you could use the dash and the natural mounting points of the truck to do something similar. All right, there you go, guys. A super simple DIY dash mount for your truck. It comes right in around $20. Super accessible for everyone. And what I really like about it is that if I ever get rid of this truck, I take those 2 screws out, I put the other ones back in, I put that rubber sunglass cover over there, and I've done not a whole lot to the truck to make this dash mount work. And if you don't want to run the cords up behind the dash, you have actually done nothing to modify the truck at all. It's super simple. Again, under 20 bucks to make the whole thing, and I've been really happy with how it's worked and the flexibility it gives me for mounting things that I need up on the dash. And so if you found some value in this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Check back next time for some more DIY builds and tinkering projects. We'll see you on the next one. Take care and pay it forward.